Hello everyone and welcome to yet another recreational programming session with Mr. Azodin. So we've been developing a shell, Unix shells, kind of like Bash and stuff like that, in D lately. Actually, this is the second stream of us developing this shell. I call it Shed. And the reason why I'm developing it is because I need some sort of an example to test out the so-called better C mode of D. Right, on the previous stream we already established that this flag should be probably renamed. It's not a bad flag, right? It's not a bad flag, don't get me wrong. I kind of like the idea of this flag, and this flag is really useful, especially maybe for embedded things, and maybe even for WebAssembly. I remember somebody in the comment section of the previous session said that they use this flag for WebAssembly, so it's very useful for WebAssembly. But calling it better C is kind of a little bit misleading, so yeah, we already established that. But that shouldn't stop us from continuing this project a little bit more. So I just realized that I have a perfect opportunity to finally try out GNU Readline library. Have you guys heard about this library, GNU Readline? It's kind of a fascinating library, actually. A lot of software uses it, a lot of console software, actually, like a terminal software. But not everybody kind of knows about this library. Is there any 36? This motherfucker is older than me. Holy shit. Damn, that's an old ass library. It's an old ass library, and doesn't even have an official website, surprisingly. So there's only just just repo, right? So it's a repo. Oh, here is the official website. I was a little bit wrong. So here is the official website, and it's a GNU website. And essentially, what this library does, it enables the familiar command line of Bash. Right, so the things that we get for granted, honestly, right, so look at that. Here's your Bash, I'm using Bash, and when you type some sort of a command, did you realize that you can actually go back? You can go back and forth. In fact, if you press Alt-B, you jump by a word. If you press Alt-F, you jump forward. You have some sort of a history, and you can actually search this history. There's a lot of functionality just in the prompt, and this is functionality that you don't get by just calling something fgets. Literally what we do in a shell. That's a lot of functionality, like an insane amount of functionality, and if you just slap fgets into your shell, you don't get any of that shit. You literally don't get, you have to implement it. And this library is exactly what it does. All of that functionality is implemented by this library. Apart from the library, there is another cool thing, which is a utility, not really a library, called rlwrap. rlwrap. So what essentially it does, it takes a command that it doesn't have support for readline and wraps it into itself and actually adds support for readline. So it's sort of like a quick hack for to work with some utilities that don't have readline support, but I don't think it's a good idea to rely on this kind of hack for your shell. I think shell must embed this kind of functionality in itself. We can even take a look at how rlwrap works. I think it's going to be rather interesting. So I'm going to go into the folder where we're developing the shell, and here's the shed, right? So, and as I said, if I just put some command in here, I can't go back. I press left, and this is bullshit I get, right? I can't even control any of that stuff. When I press up and down, none of that works. All of that is useful, honestly. All of that is useless. But if I put rlwrap in here, now I can navigate. I can now open, maybe build up. I try to auto-complete some stuff. I can try to open this build, right? So, and then I can press up, and there we go, I have history. I automatically have all of that, which is convenient for some existing software that you can't modify and add readline support for. But I think if you're developing a shell, readline support has to be baked into the shell itself, right? I think it has to be baked into the shell itself. Why did it actually repeat it twice in here? Some weird scheisse is going on. So, and I think I tried this library a little bit in the past, just a tiny bit, and I don't really know much about this library, except it's just a regular C library. And since it's a regular C library, we should be able to just, link with that library in D, right? We should be able to just link it with D and start using it in D. And I decided to use today's session as an opportunity to look into readline, right, and integrate it into Shed. So that's basically the topic of today's stream. Sounds good? Sounds Gucci? Sounds what? Tamaguchi, let's fucking go! I think I already have it installed, chat, right? So in the previous stream, I think we established that I do have it installed, so I can do something like query. So readline, and there is a readline devil. And we can quickly take a look at what kind of files we even have in that specific package. Not that many files, as you can see. So there's a bunch of headers, and yeah, so maybe through import C, which is a built-in compiler into D, we can straight up use this header file, right? And in here we have a static library and so on and so forth. And I wonder how easy it is to maybe build readline from scratch, right? So because I don't really want to depend on the system readline, it would be kind of like nice to maybe, what is it called, vendor it, right, it will be kind of nice to vendor it. So let's actually try to maybe download the source code. You need to choose an application, FTP. Who puts FTP links at... That's a very old website. That's how you know the website is old, when you try to download some stuff from it and it just gives you FTP link. So very nice, very nice. So there's also GNU repository. So here is the stuff from the master, and it downloaded the master. I don't really want to download the master. I just want to download the latest release. So it's kind of, I don't remember how to download FTP files. Does anybody know? Right. So is there like a FTP utility? I don't even have FTP utility. So like SFTP. Oh, there's the SFTP. Is it possible for me? Maybe I can use wget, by the way. Maybe wget just supports FTP. Right, so maybe this is what I can do. So I'm gonna just like do something like that. And it just does support FTP. Look at that. Look at this mother flipper. It doing FTP shit. Is it asking for a password? I don't quite understand. Is it downloading or something? Did they remove FTP support from all browsers? Yeah, so nobody uses it. In the past, browsers did in fact support FTP, and that was actually kind of cool. These days, no, and that is bizarre. Passive mode, okay, so I can't download this thing. Apparently I can't download this thing. Okay, so maybe I shouldn't waste my time on trying to download it, but because like I can only download the devil version. So here's the FTP. You know what? Who said that there is no HTTPS support? Right. So what if I just like literally change it to HTTP? Right. Quite often the servers support both, you know, FTP and HTTP. So to download it, you need to disable passive mode in wget. Why can't I just take a link and freaking download it? Why does it have to be some sort of like adventure? I don't freaking understand. I want to do that. Fuck that. Fuck that shit. But at the same time, it would be kind of convenient to just, oh my god, I hate it. Like, what the, like, give me some, so there's also GNU FTP, availability, distribution, full source code. Maybe I can download it from here. Alright, fuck that. Thank you so much. Somebody give me... This is so fucking stupid. Like, why can't I just like... Alright, thank you so much. So there's a beta... Yeah, there we go. Copy link. Thank you so much. Just wasting my time. Alright, so let's fucking go. So, how difficult it is to build the whole thing? How difficult is it? So, can I just configure this entire stuff? It's a lot of configuration, honestly. That's a lot of configuration, but it probably also accepts some sort of a prefix, right? It also accepts some sort of a prefix. So, and it will install it in that thingy. But I feel like installation is not particularly important. Right, so I think installation is not particularly important, so I'm going to do opt, it's a read line. Right, so let's actually install it in there. So that's going to be our installation, and let's do just make and yeah. So Boo Casper, thank you so much for tier 1, thank you, thank you, thank you. Right, so we managed to build this entire thing, and it's going to be make install. All right, so there was some sort of error has happened. No such, what the fuck are you talking about? Cannot start, no such. Well, I mean, why the fuck were you trying to start it then? All right, Jesus Christ, Brovsky. So old ass software. So it doesn't have any bins. It has some includes, and it has some libs, and this is just basically like a readline stuff. Just basically readline stuff. So that's about it, I think. I think that's about it. We can try to maybe bring this entire stuff to D. And I wonder if it's going to work actually. Right, so this is going to be shed. And so here's the read line, and I'm going to move it in here. So usually when you set the prefix, right, so you set the prefix, it may modify some of the paths and stuff like that according to that prefix, but since it's a library, I don't think it will actually do that. I don't think it will actually do that. I don't think the prefix affect anything, so that means I should be able to move that library around however I want. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty nice. So what if I now try to import readline, right? So I'm importing readline, and I'm going to just do build.d. So obviously it can't find a readline, but if in the build I'll also provide the path to the readline thingy. So let's actually open the distribution, and we're looking for the include somewhere here. So that's the path I'm looking for, and within that path we need readline.h. So that's basically what we're looking for, and of course it's not going to accept that because it's a H file. That is perfectly understandable. What we can do now, we can do readline.c. I kind of I'm thinking to do a similar trick that I did for raylib, right? So I think it's going to be rather interesting. So I want it to be a relative link, so I'm going to do lns readline. So this comes the target, here comes the target, and I basically rename it to readline c. And now, as you can see, it points to the current thing in here. So now, if I try to run, and of course I have to do the C version of this entire stuff, build.d, and undefined identifier file. Oh, that's very interesting. Undefined identifier file. Why is it undefined? Have you ever tried to include stdio? Damn. Wait a freaking sec. Wait. It tried to even include the thing from the system. It tried to include this thing from the system. That is kind of dumb. That is actually kind of dumb. So, but in any case, I just want to try something interesting. What if I simply include this shit, right, as it is, without any other headers? I think it's kind of interesting, right? So I'm taking this entire stuff, I'm taking this entire path, but I'm going to be using just H, right? So I'm just including this kind of thing. So this is just C. And then if I try to build main.c, do you guys understand what the fuck is going on? Do you guys understand what the fuck is going on? This entire library, the headers of this library, actually expect you to have at least... They never tested this library with the code that doesn't include stdio. They never tested it. It's just like it never occurred to them. Like, I feel like nobody really directly programs in Readline. Like, nobody directly does that. It's just like because like that would have been fucking obvious if enough people just seriously use this library every single day. Like, that's the first thing you encounter. Yeah, that's the first thing you encounter. So and because of that, I can't really easily use that in D unless I actually include this thing in here, right? So that's kind of bizarre. So that's not enough nerds exactly. It's kind of a dead library, honestly. It's kind of a dead library at this point. PR? Bro, this is GNU. This is GNU. Speaking of gatekeeping and open source, GNU is fucking impenetrable. Like, it is impossible to... Well, I mean, it's not really impossible, but it's such a fucking pain in the ass to submit them any fucking patch. And if you manage to freaking do that, you'll gotta sign up shit ton of different papers and just like license and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's really well gate kept. So... how much did GNU pay you for this, by the way? For what? For shitting on their library? I do that for free. So anyways. So we can try to maybe... free services. Generous. Like, Zozin, how much do you charge for shitting on my project? Or it's just like, I do that for free if your project is good enough. So we get some subs, by the way, that they didn't acknowledge. Tefra, thank you so much for Twitch Prime. And Boo Casper, that's a very cool name. Boo Casper, thank you. Why does this nickname make me laugh? Boo Casper. So thank you so much for tier 1, and thank you for gifting the 5 community subs. It's a kind of a genius nickname, honestly. Boo Casper. I'm so fucking sorry. It's just like a really good nickname. Really good nickname. By the way, there is another problem that we have in here. Is that it tries to also include the headers from the system, right? So because I have like Readline installed system-wide, right? So, and how can I make it not freaking do that? So maybe I can take a look at the DMD's nuts. Well, I mean, it has to be help. Do we have like an include? So I know that there is like a look for imports in a directory. Maybe I can try to do something like that, right? So if I try to do build, so yeah, look, it points at the system library. I can just tell Brovsky, look for the one in here, right? Look for the one in here. So I should be able to say something like that. Boom. Why did I do concatenation? I didn't really have to do concatenation. Yeah, something like this. And it becomes kind of long and annoying. Can I do something like this? So here's beta C, allegedly. So here's the src. And this is, by the way, where we keep all of the includes, big includes. So here are big includes. Then there is this small I, which I do not fully understand what the fuck it does, and there is all of this stuff. Yeah, it's kind of nice. Right, so using a proper programming language instead of Bash is actually, you know, beneficial in the sense that you can format things like that without introducing like backslashes or anything like that. It's just like it's a proper programming language. I really like that. So let's fucking go. And is it going to... No, it still points at the system one. So I don't really know how to force it to not use the system one. So there's probably some internal flags that it uses or something. Maybe there's some... I remember vaguely there was some configuration stuff. Right. I don't know really why it bothers me. It shouldn't really bother me, right? So it doesn't really matter per se. But it kind of bothers me. And by the way, so here is the Linux. So there is a DND config in here. And in terms of, yeah, there you go. This is additional D flags, right? So this is additional D flags, and there's this kind of weird environment, but they don't explicitly point to, yeah, they don't explicitly point to user include or anything like that. So yeah, I already know. So this particular config is not going to do anything, but maybe it's not that big of a problem that it tries to pick up on the system files, but it still annoys me a little bit. What if there is a discrepancy between system header files and the ones that I'm trying to render? So you know what I'm talking about? So it's kind of weird. Like, should I proceed with this kind of problem or should I not? Should I try to fix that? Because I feel like I'm gonna spend a lot of time trying to fix that. What do you guys think? Is it worth my attention or just like move on? So I think I'm gonna move on. Fuck all that. Okay, anyway. So how can we try to prevent the problem with the stdio? We can try to literally fucking include that. So who said we can't do that? Well, look at how much we include in here. Who said we can't just, include stdio? And try to compile this entire thing. And now it complains about some other stuff. Variable stdin matches conflicting symbols and stuff like that. All right, so I was hoping to be able to completely rely on import C. And I'm starting to suspect that the fact that raylib worked with import C first time is literally a miracle and more of an achievement of raylib itself rather than the decompile. Because any other library I try to do this way, they don't work in D. Only raylib managed to do that. I have no idea how. I think Ray-san is a freaking genius, right? So he made his library so freaking portable, it's like it literally can work in any environment. Like I have no idea how Ray-san managed to do that. Like any environment I try to raylib in, it just works. Like it's really rare to see a C code just like easily working in any environment, it's like effortlessly. So the raylib test isn't that good. I don't know. Maybe it isn't. But I suppose raylib is the doom of libraries. Can confirm it works even in Haiku. Damn. So yeah, import C is unfortunately very spotty in what things work out of the book. Okay, I see. So I suppose I'm gonna abandon the idea of relying fully on import C, right? So I suppose import C is not finished yet, right? By the way, for the D community out there, D is fucking awesome. I just want to say that, out loud. D is a freaking cool language. What I'm doing actually intentionally. I'm kind of stress testing the language, okay? I'm kind of stress testing the language, trying to see like pushing its limitations, right? So by itself, D is insanely freaking cool. Right, if you just need to write up some quick utility, like using Phobos is insanely like pleasant. It's a more pleasant experience than C++. I try to write a simple utility to process some files and stuff like that, and I used D with the Phobos and stuff like that, and I had as pleasant and smooth experience as if I was using like Python to do that. Just like it was extremely convenient and stuff like that. Right, D is freaking awesome. Don't take what I do on these streams seriously. I'm just like trying to push the limitation of the language and kind of break it intentionally, just to see all of these like spots where improvement is required. Because I like to explore things, right? So I'm a very explorative person. So I have nothing against D. I think D is a pretty cool language, right? It's a very useful and very powerful language. D community is just glad to be noticed. Yeah, so D community is actually super cool. They don't mind me actually criticizing this language and just like poking in different places and stuff like that. And this is something that I really appreciate about D community. The community will never understand that. Right, so because the last time I tried Ada, And I started to do the same thing as I do with D. I started to poke around in all of these places, right, trying to see like what's the limitation of the language. And the D community, being the elites, they are like, somebody's trying to break our language. They had like a heart attack seeing all of that. It's just like, and the community doesn't want to be noticed. It was so funny and sad at the same time, especially considering that I implemented a very fucking cool thing in their language. Right, so I think I implemented a pretty cool thing in Ada. Right, so it's this one. But anyway, I really appreciate the community. All right, so this is what I implemented in Ada. Anyways, so I suppose let's not rely on this kind of stuff, right? So let's simply just, you know, forward declare some of the things and try to just simply link with all of that stuff. But the question is, like, how do you even use like readline? I have no idea how to use this library, honestly. Like, what does it have? What kind of stuff do you do? So you have a rel digit argument. Do I have to initialize something first? Do I have to initialize something? I'm not quite sure. So maybe there is some sort of a documentation in here. Is there some... Okay, there is documentation. That's pretty cool. So there is some RL user manual. Okay, let's open it in Firefox. Okay, so describes the end user interface of the GNU Readline library, a utility which aids... Well, I already noticed that, but anyway, in the consistency of user interface across discrete programs, which provides a command line interface, the readline homepage is this one. Okay, so compile command line editing. I don't give a shit. Bro, where's the code? This is a user manual. This is a user manual, so it's not a programmer manual. Okay. So what other HTML things do we have? So there's a history. So this is probably what we need in here, like readline interface, right? So introduction to line. Well, I mean, I don't care. Okay, programming with GNU Readline. Basic behavior. Many programs provide a command line interface such as mail, FTP, and SH. For such programs, the default behavior of readline is sufficient. This section describes how to use readline in the simplest way possible, perhaps to replace calls to your code in your code to gets or vgets. That's pretty based. That's pretty based. The function readline prints a prompt, and then reads and returns a single line of text from the user. Okay, if prompt, really? Is it that simple? Okay. So let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. So where is the shed? Main D. Okay, I'm gonna just try to assume that I should be able to do something like extern C, like this, and I literally forward declare the whole thing. So this is gonna be build.d. Let's get rid of this stuff and this stuff, right? And I'm gonna try to build the whole thing. Readline conflicts with, this is because we included the readline. Yeah, boy. Yeah, there we go. So you can just forward declare look, chat, you can just do things. You can just forward declare things. Did you know that? Did you know that? Yeah, that's cool. Anyways, now I'm gonna try to, so they say that I can just like call to this thing instead of readline, or instead of gets. But the question is, who's allocating memory? This mother flipper returns pointer to char. That means it does some sort of allocation. So the question is, like, who does the allocation? I just don't want to read any of that stuff. Okay, so let's just assume that, let's just leak some memory, right? So let's just leak some memory. Oh, look, I have what to do to add a readline support. That's actually pretty cool. So this is going to be a readline, and my prompt is basically this. So interestingly, maybe I should actually, you know, do something like this. So this is going to be string prompt, and I'm gonna just like, wait, there's no string in here. Yeah, so I think I should be able to do something like this. And oh yeah, to print the D strings, I have to do this kind of stuff where I do prompt ptr and then prompt length, and then I just like do something like this, right? So, and then I want to disable that, right? And now just print it like that, and that should give me the input buffer. But the input buffer is like, it just allocates its own thing, right? So it's not compatible with the way we do that anymore, unfortunately. It's not really compatible with our way. So like I can't do input buffer like this. That's annoying, but I can try to maybe save it to an intermediate thing, right? I'm saving that to an intermediate thing. And now the input is supposed to be, so this is I don't like that. So auto, so that means this one becomes something like strlen. I'm gonna just assume that s is gonna be a null-terminated thing. I take its length, right? So I just take its length. Then I should be able to do something like this, and I'm assigning it back into the input, right? So this is our input, and then we do the usual thing. So we do readline, right? We take its length, we turn it into a proper string in here, and then do all of the usual things. So that's basically the idea of all of that stuff. So let's try to rebuild it. Readline is not callable using string. Understandable. That is very cool. So I should be able to do something like ptr. Right, so let's just do ptr. So I'm gonna assume that the string literals, they have kind of like a hidden null termination just in case you want to interact with C, because that's usually what these languages do. I think it's a good idea. Good idea. Okay. So it has to be immutable. That is understandable. All right, so let's make it an immutable. And this one actually also const, which means that it's also immutable. So you have to have some sort of immutability in here. That's understandable. Perfect. Linking error. Who gives a fuck about linking park? Linking error. In the end, it doesn't even matter. So let's fucking go. I really apologize for this millennial stench. I just can't help myself, right? So because I'm millennial. So we need to link now with the, you know, libreadline.a. Linking park. I'm sorry. What's I don't know. Yeah. Damn. Do we have only millennials in here? It feels like it actually. Millennial stream. So let's go to the build. Let's go to the build. How are we gonna be linking? So you have to do this weird stuff where you do L equal to L this stuff. All right. So and then L equal L. And we have to provide the path to all of this stuff, right? So, and the path is going to be somewhere here. The path has to be somewhere here. So build.d, build.d. All right, so let's fucking go. T-puts. What the fuck is T-puts? Does anybody know? Is it located in some... So this is definitely not C. T-puts. Huh. This is like a term shit of some sort. Is it curses? Like, do I really have to link with curses? I can't believe that. T-puts. T-puts. So let me see, is there anything? So there's a lib history. We can try to link with that stuff as well. Who said we can't do that? Maybe that will fix the error. But I have a feeling that we'll have to link with some additional stuff as well. That's the feeling I have. Yeah. Forced dependency, what the fuck? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Custom function. So do they mention anything about linking? Right, so link. No, curses. Curses. They don't mention curses, honestly. I'm not quite sure. So tip puts. So this is a curse. It's a curse term in form. It's a curse term in form. One thing we can do, by the way, we can put that into Google, or maybe LLM, whatever, and it should actually. Oh yeah, this is a good idea. Like check package config. I think I like this idea. So because package config usually contains the information you may need to link with this kind of stuff. All right, doesn't really contain anything. Yeah, it's just like a libdir. Yeah, doesn't include anything. Doesn't really include anything. History PC. No, they don't mention anything. Oh, requires private curses. I didn't see it. Oh shit! It really does freaking. I didn't know that it depends on curses. What the fuck? Big? Okay. Honestly, by the way, so since we kind of gonna be depending on curses, do I want to vendor all of that shit then? Do I really want to vendor all of this shit? I feel like I don't want to vendor it. So maybe because of that, what if I just like remove this thing? If I just do that, will it pick up the library for like a system library? Will it use the system library? Yeah, I feel like it uses the system library. Okay, so can I just do lib and curses like this? Yeah, okay, it worked. So we're gonna be using the system library then. All right. So we arrived at that. First try, by the way, first try. Fascinating. Okay, so yeah. So let's take a look at that, and let's actually go here, and I'm gonna try to do shed. Okay, cool. It just works, right? So look at that. It just works, and I can just like make it. It's that apparently simple, right? So I anticipated more, you know, pain in the ass, but apparently it's just like a single read line call, and there you go. You have a thing. I can try to do ls, and it just works. I'm worried about who manages the memory though. Linking was the hard part. Yeah, so linking was the hardest part, I suppose. But we don't vendor all of that, and honestly, that's a pretty heavy dependencies, right? So read line is a dependency. It depends on incurses, and incurses also by itself a pretty heavy dependency that also depends on all other things. Right, SBPS query or as incurses. Right, so I will take a look at devil. It's just like take a look at this entire thing. What it depends on. So incurses libs. Is that what it depends on? I don't really know. Is that what? Yeah, so there's a lot of different things. Or maybe this is the thing that depend on incurses. I don't know. Whatever. So there's a lot of stuff in here just for the incurses. Linking part. Okay. You guys are really funny. So yeah, like I'm really curious, like who manages the memory? Maybe we can read that in the source code. So if I take a look at user include readline, where is the readline function? It's not even there. Where is it? Fucking okay, here it is. Yeah, they don't tell like. So my I suspect that maybe they have an internal buffer, right? They have some sort of an internal buffer that they return a pointer to. So that means it invalidates the text on the next readline call. Find out with valgrind. I don't really know how to do that, but anyway. So basic behavior. So read line. In order to read a line from a text of the text from the user, the line returned has the final new line removed, so only the text remains. Okay, I really appreciate that. If readline encounter an end of file while reading the line and the line is empty at the point, then the char null is returned. Otherwise, the line is ended just as if a new line has been typed. Readline performs some expansion on the prompt before it is displayed on the screen. See the description RL expand prompt. So it does a little bit of expansion, maybe like a stars and stuff like that, I don't know. For additional details, especially if prompt will contain characters that do not consume physical screen space when displayed. If you want the user to be able to get at the line later, with Control P, for example, you must call add history to save the line away in a history list of such lines. Okay, so you're reading the line and you add it to the history. For full details on the GNU history library, see the associated manual. It is preferable to avoid saving empty lines in a history list, since users rarely have a burning need to reuse a blank line. A burning need to reuse a blank line. I really appreciate the humor. Here's a function which usefully replaces the standard gets library function and has the advantage of non-static buffer overflow. So the rugged bear, you have to free check above the first definition of read line. Okay. Chat, classic chat. Anyway, so let's actually see what we have in here. A static variable for holding the line. All right, so RL get a string and return a pointer to, like, why do you have to use it? This is such a complicated code. What the fuck am I even looking at? Fucking know. I don't fucking know. So free. Ooh, look at that. That is very interesting. What a garbage fucking code, bro. Freaking GNU standards, or whatever the fuck it is. Who writes code like that? Like, why do you? Are you okay? It's just like, fucking comments and shit. Like, okay, right. If this line exists, okay. If the line exists, we just freeing it and okay. Why do you need to do that, bro? It's just like, is it developed for the compilers that don't automatically cast void star to any? Like, why do you fucking need to do that? So bizarre. All right, so then we read this entire thing, and if it was not null, right, and it was not empty, we add it to the history. Okay, that's actually very cool way of doing that. All right. I see what they're doing in here. Yeah, okay. So you have to free it on each iteration. That's understandable. So casting void star to C++. Okay, yeah. So maybe it's for C++. That's understandable. But if it's a C++, well, yeah. So you have to use static cast, but maybe they're trying to write the code that is cross language, right? So it works on any of these languages. But anyway, okay. So I think I understand what we need to do in here. So let's go ahead and just start working on that. So we don't need this input buffer anymore, right? And so we don't need any of that stuff anymore. We can have it as a line, right? So this is a line. We now we just get the whole thing. So this one has to be a prompt, right? So this is a prompt. This is our prompt. We get the star, and then we're processing the whole thing. After that, we are we need to add it to the history, but we want to add it to the history if only if it's you know, available. It's not null, right? So we're checking if it's not null, and then it's not empty. That's a really cool way to check if the not null string is empty or not. You just dereference the character, and if a character is null, that means the first character is null terminated. That means it's empty, right? And we do add the history, right? So we do add history. Do we have a signature of add history somewhere? So read line. Let's find it. Add history. So it's not here. So do we have history? Here's the history. Add history. So here it is. Main.d. All right. So external. Okay. This is actually kind of cool that adding signatures is so straightforward, right? So the signatures in D are closer to C than in C3, surprisingly, if you think about it. That is kind of interesting. So the comment talk about free pool. Do they have like an internal pool arena or just a pedantic old-fashioned malloc free? I think they do have a pedantic fashion malloc free because they explicitly say that you have to free this thing. Look at that. So this is from documentation. I think that's what you have to do, which fucking sucks. Oh, and by the way, do you guys know what that means? Do you guys know what that means? D has defer. But I'm not sure if I'm doing it correctly, by the way, so let's actually double check on that. D-lang. Finally, beta C. Holy shit, finally I experienced beta C. So I recommend using const instead of immutable for parameters unless you need to return back a slice from input. I honestly don't know the difference between immutable and const, and I heard that there is a lot of confusion between them in the D community as well. Right, so I heard that. So thank you for telling me. So if it's going to work, I think that's going to be super cool. I thought scope was for borrow checker. Here's another criticism I have for D. D has this tendency of taking keywords and assigning different meanings to the keywords depending on the context. It's annoying. Right, so literally the same keyword may have 2 or 3 different meanings in different contexts. It is normal for D. So yeah, get used to that. That's a valid criticism for D in my opinion. Like static in C, but on steroids. Because you know what? It's better C. Oh! So, so let's actually see. So I think feature overview. So scope guards. They're called scope guards. So scope exit. Scope guard statement executes not empty or scope block statement. That's documentation. At the close of the current scope rather than at the point where the scope guard appears. Okay, so basically at the scope. It has 3 parameters. This is because D is a slope, I mean, it's a managed language, right? And it has also exceptions and stuff like that and so on and so forth. So you can actually decide when to execute a certain code, whether there was a success exit out of the scope or the exit was during unwinding from the exception. And stuff like that. I think in our case we want to use exit. So success is when you exit the scope successfully, failure is when you exit the scope on exception, and exit is regardless of these two, right? So it's whether on success or on exception. So in our case we can say that I suppose, yeah, scope exit line, right? So we do that and we have to actually have to free it. So that's actually pretty cool. I really like that. I really like that. Right, we add the history and we just add the history line here. So, all right, that's pretty cool. So let's try to build the whole thing. Let's try to build it. And yeah, undefined identifier as, this is because I remembered to line. Right, so this is the line. And that's it. That's literally it, believe it or not. So let's try to run it. And yep, I'm trying to execute that. That didn't happen. And I go up. It's in the history. That's pretty convenient. And I can, yeah, so that's really freaking cool. And I have a history like automatically. Just out. I didn't expect that it's so easy to use this library, honestly. It doesn't save the history between the sessions. Already better than Bash. Yeah. Already better than Bash. That's kind of cool, honestly. Like, what the fuck? So yeah. So yeah, let's do committee, I suppose. That's the only, modifications we have to do. We can actually move some of this stuff to readline. We can do something like this. So here's the readline, main.d. Yeah. It's kind of sad that import C is kind of limited in terms of what kind of C codes it can actually export. But even without import C, it's relatively easy to work with the C code, right? It's relatively easy to work with the C code. It's not bad. It's not bad. Okay. So and in here, right, we already moved everything. I can import readline, import, and yep. So let's do that. Function. So what you didn't like, not module of a type void. Ah, shit. Do I have to do something like readline? Ah. This is because the name of the module and the function it provides collide, so it couldn't understand what exactly I'm doing. I'm calling the function, I'm calling the module, and stuff like that. How C macro work in D? That's the neat part. They don't. Better see. Better... so better see. Anyway, so what else do we have in here? So it already kind of works, but unfortunately, like, you have to install system-wide readline, right? So that means we have to kind of document how to do all that stuff. Or you're supposed to use like a dub, their slope downloader of some sort. Peak language, yeah. So yeah, dependencies, system dependencies, readline. So essentially, I'm not going to list incursives because a readline already automatically depends on incursives, right? So it goes without saying, I suppose. Okay, so here's the readline, RL top. Yeah, I'm gonna open this thing in here. So this is readline. So system dependencies, install those, and yeah, on top of that we can actually say something like DMD, like a decompiler. Yeah, let's call DMD. So dlang. Right, so these are all of the dependencies that you probably have to install manually. Maybe it would be nice to try their slope downloader, the dupe thingy. At some point, but I'm not really big fan of slope downloaders, honestly. Not really big fan. Wouldn't happen in Jime. So let's actually remove this kind of thing. How do we save the history to like a separate file and load it up? There should be some sort of a way to do that. So let me open readline. Actually history. So you can add the history, add history time, change the timestamp associated with the most recent history entry. You can remove a certain entry. So remove an entry from the history list, which is the magic number that tells us which element to delete. But how do we know that magic number? I don't know. So copy history entry. You can clear the history entry. So let me see. Can I save? No. We can take. So there is a history state and there is a history entry. And history entry, by the way, look at that, is a line that we saved in here, a timestamp rather than time underscore. So char star rather than time underscore for read write. And there is a hist data. I have no idea what the fuck is a hist data. Okay, so this is a opaque pointer of some sort. I don't know what it means. Maybe it's like a hidden, like a private data, right? So it could be private data. And you have a his state. I suppose you have one instance of it created automatically, and it's a bunch of entries. The location of pointer within this array, I suppose when you scroll through the history, that's the thing that like changes in here. So number of elements in the array, number of slots and stuff like, okay, so this is just basically the state of this entire stuff. So history, get history state. We can take a look at that. So I think that could be an interesting actually idea to do so. We can, within shed, we can introduce a command called history. Who said we can't do that? We can add any commands in here. And essentially, we can try to explore this kind of stuff, right? So let's actually forward declare the whole thing. So readline D, right? So we should kind of probably separate like a readline submodule and history submodule because they're kind of a different libraries, right? So I forgot the name. So this is going to be that. And that also means, by the way, I have to declare this thing. So I have to have a structure for this entire stuff. So this is going to be the struct, right? And the name of the struct is this. For now, what I can do in here, are those tabs? Yeah, they are tabs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Replace all the tabs. For now, I'm gonna actually call this entire thing like void star entries, right? So because it's a pointer, I don't want to care about its internal representation. I'm gonna just keep it as is. All right. For the rest of the stuff, I'm gonna just keep it like this. Okay. So that's pretty cool. Now, so maybe later I'm gonna have a definition for the hist entry, right? But for now, I just want it to be a pointer. I don't want to look inside of this entire thing. So now I'm gonna go into the main D. I do the history, and I'm gonna call this function history get history state. And so now I have the state, and within that state I can try to see what I have in here. Number of elements within this array. Okay, we can do something like that. Amount of elements in the history. Maybe size of history is D elements, and this is a state. Length. Not sure about the size though. Number of slots are like, this is a dynamic array in C. Chat, this is count and this is capacity. I'm an expert on dynamic arrays. I know one when I see it. I know it when I find. This is a freaking dynamic array. I'm telling you that as an expert. This is a fucking dynamic array. In C. So you know what that means? There's somewhere the implementation of DA append within the readline library. Anyway, I'm sorry. So we're gonna put /n in here. Let's try to recompile this entire thing. So it doesn't fucking work. What you don't like? Cannot have parameter of type void. That's perfectly understandable, my friend. So C. All right. Switch case fall through. Based. Man, I really freaking like that fall through is an error unless you explicitly say whether you want to break out of this thing or not. This is such a base thing to do, honestly, within the language. I really like that. Anyways, okay, so that compiles. That's pretty cool. So history. History. Boom. 0 elements. If I put some stuff in here and put history again, 2 elements, the history and ls, right? And every time, okay, so as you can see, we have things in here. That's pretty cool. So, and then I open it again, and it's 0, right? It resets the history. Does a readline let you tab autocomplete? Fuck. It does. Oh shit. The fuck? It's kind of amazing that you just get all of that functionality for free by calling one single function. What the fuck? How such a great user experience was created by A fucking GNU out of all people. Just think about it. Freaking GNU people managed to put the entirety of UX of a library into a single function call. This is unheard of for GNU people. How? What? How did they do that? I'm pretty sure the guy or girl who came up with this API was fired instantly the next day they created it. Because that's unacceptable for GNU. This has to be fucking anal and bureaucratic as hell. So, like, what? It's just one function call and you get everything? What the fuck? I can't believe that. I can't believe that. Based GNU. Well, I mean, based readline. He also made Bash. Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. One function call to rule them all. Like, I mean, it's so straightforward. It's insane. Okay, read line. It's your new fgets. You want to add the line to the history. Well, you just add it to the history. That's it. And everything else is just like handled by the library itself. You don't have to think about any of that stuff. But I mean, like saving the history is kind of unclear how you do that. So let's actually see how we could do that using history. Begin a session in which the history function might be used. This is just initializes the interactive variable. I never have to call that, but I mean, maybe that's fine. So you can remove certain thing from a history. Allocate history entry consisting of string and times step. That's understandable. Copy history entry, so it just copies the history entry, replace history entry. Stifle the history list, remember only max, I don't know what that's supposed to mean. History stifled, okay. Oh, you can just, okay, so return a null terminated array of history entries, which is the current input history. Element 0 is of this list is the beginning of the time. If there's no history, return null. Where history returns the number which says what history element are now looking at. Current history, history get time, history total bytes. That's very interesting. Previous history, next history, history search. Okay, that's very interesting. Search position, read history. Add the content of a file name to the. So that means there is a write history. Okay. So yeah, I can just export it, import it apparently. So what about reading history? Add the content of the file into the history line. If file name is then read from history, return 0 if successful or error null if not. Okay, so you know what that means, chat? That's shed history incoming. Yeah, we're gonna add shed history. So that's literally what we're gonna do. We're gonna add shed history. See, this is the const. Damn. Can your C3 do that? It's actually pretty it's pretty close to original C. In C3 you have to add additional like a fan and stuff like that. But anyway, right. So it's gonna be C. Gonna be that. I suppose it's a file. It's kind of funny how in the documentation they mention the names of the arguments, but they don't have them in the actual declarations in here. Anyway, so I suppose all of that criticism is kind of pointless because nobody actually uses this library anyway, so who cares? Like, I mean, well, yeah, whatever. So file name, or maybe just called file name. File name. So a lot of software uses it. I mean, it's just like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's kind of weird that this library feels a little bit abandoned, right? But at the same time, it is not. A lot of software uses it. So I'm just remembering back the stdio situation, right? So the stdio situation, when you just include it without anything, it fails because it expects stdio. It's just like, it's basically finished. That's what it feels like. It's basically finished. So this is how finished software feels like, right? It's not like nobody uses it. It's just like nobody has the need to modify it or anything. But I don't know, maybe I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, ignore everything I'm saying. So Linux Seller, thank you so much for doing with the message. 6 months of sodium brain rot, it's real, beware. Yeah, be aware of sodium brain rot. Chester, thank you so much for tier 1, thank you. Another community gifted sub, thank you so much Kildalin for gifting the subs. Thank you, really appreciate that. So we've got these things. Still don't know what's the difference between constant and mutable. And also I heard that constant and mutable also may have different meanings in different contexts. So it's a classic D. So let me see. We should have something like, say, shed history path. And we need to get the home environment. So that means we'll need to do get env. Yeah. So let's do the following thing. So this is going to be char home get environment, and I provide home in here like this. And I suppose I would like to maybe even like make sure that it's not null, right? So it's not equal to null in here. Let me try to build the whole thing. All right, that's pretty cool. And after that, I also need to have something like shed history path. So this is a shed history path, and it's basically shed history. And now I need to concatenate these two strings. And this is a little bit of a pain in the ass because we're programming in beta C. So what I'm thinking we need to do, we could actually utilize dynamic arrays in here. So if you do array char, you basically have a string builder. So shed history name. So this is a shed history name, and here we can have shed history path. Maybe calling it a shed with the prefix is a little bit too much, so let's remove the prefix. All right, so this is the history path, and yeah, we probably have to do something like this. What I'm thinking is that we need to be able to do something like append many, where we provide the element that we want to append. Actually maybe pointed to this entire thing. Maybe we can even take it as a slice, right? So let's actually do from 0 to strlen home. So this is how we do append menu. And then I should be able to do something like append menu, maybe slash, and then append menu history name. Yeah. If we just implement a special method for the dynamic array, struct array, so you have just append, but you should be able to do append many, which is like t item c, and this is a slice. Yeah. This is a C string. This is a C string. Like you literally, it doesn't know where it ends. It's not that kind. Yeah. So got you. Aha, Anyway, so we need to implement this kind of thing. Oh boy, how can we do that? I think the easiest way to do that is probably maybe so for each items, and just like append them. Append. I guess that's the easiest thing to do, honestly. Right, because and this thing will also automatically like scale it. Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to do that. We also have a little bit of interesting stuff in the sense that so this one will work. This one may not work because it's immutable. Can you take VA args? I think you could. Oh, this one is interesting actually. Also, we can overload them. That's very interesting. Okay, so I didn't think. Yeah. Okay. Better see. Okay. Yeah. let's fucking go. So Luna D, okay. Let's try to build this entire thing and see where it fails. Exactly, this is what I was talking about. So what was it complaining about? So none of the overloads, yeah, so it's a string and so on and so forth. I suppose the main kind of problem in here is that this is like an immutable version. Can I just do something like in-out? So because we already kind of do in-out for these things, right, for the strings, we may try to do it in here too. Okay, so I suppose no, I cannot explicitly So do I have to do... I'm still not sure what in-out does. I'm still not sure what it does. Variable array parameter of stack-based variable can be template. Okay, so... Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So OT becomes in-out, yeah. OT becomes in-out, but maybe we could... Oh, no. Feels like... well, I mean, it should be probably something like this. Nah. Define T and out. Yeah. Immutable. Can I just have something like this? I think I don't know what the fuck am I doing. I think I just don't know what the fuck am I doing. Because it's kind of annoying. I'm playing overload smell. Yeah, it's an overload smell. I'm playing the type Tetris again. So what if I just like do many and focus only on the many part, right? So let's not jump into the overload yet. Right, so let's not jump. So this thing is not callable with the types cannot pass. Yeah, so that's understandable. That's perfectly understandable. If I do in-out for this thing, yeah, it's not callable. It doesn't, like, I'm not sure what the fuck am I, like, function in-out char. Where did you try to do the char? I'm not quite sure. Ah. All right, so this is a args null. But I wasn't trying to do that. Yeah, I know that a string is not equal to char. I know that. And I'm trying to mitigate that. I do perfectly understand that. Don't worry about it. And also, I think I need to make a small break. Right, so let's actually make a small break. I'm gonna make a cup of tea, and after the small break, we're gonna try to understand how to make this thing work for everybody. We can also take a look at how, for example, appender is implemented in there. Auto could be actually, you know, a thing that we'll have to do. So let me see. In Phobos specifically, there is an interesting structure. I'm not sure where to look for it. Maybe it's a container. There was something like called appender. Can't really find it. Why is it not in container? Maybe it's an array. It could be actually array. Yeah, appender. All right. So convenience function that returns an appender implements an output range that appends data to an array. This is recommended over array data when appending many elements because it's more efficient. Yeah, so this is basically dynamic array appenger. And like we can take a look at how it is implemented, right? So we can even do it right now. Who said we can't do that? So DMD, SRC, is it really SRC? Probably SRC, so DMD. Is it Linux? So let me try to find the struct appender. Is it struct? It is struct, yeah. Yeah, it's in Phobos, as you can see, so here it is. And what method does it use? It uses put. Okay. If can put item, that's very interesting. So is there any, okay, so there is a range. Oh, it's very actually, const fix. Man, I really... I really like become happy when I discover this kind of shit because I realized, oh, I was not alone. I was not the only person who like experienced the same shit, right? So people were also there. People were also there. All right, that's very interesting. So it's a range, and yeah, so can put const range, and there is some sort of like how is that a template functions? So this is a oh my, that's a lot of different fucking hacks. It's an input range. Oh boy. So it's literally a template, right? So it's literally a template, but I mean, we don't really have to. We can just make it a template, yeah, for real. Right, so it could be a range, and it's something that like iterable. Yeah, who said? So I feel like all of that is needed to just like narrow down what kind of stuff you can put in there. But we don't really have to do that, honestly. We don't really have to do that. For at least for now. At least for now. What I can do is I can say it's a range and it's a, you know, template parameter. So whatever is iterable with for each, you should be able to like, you know, put it there and then you just like append it like that. I think that could be a good solution in here. That could be a good, and it works. Thank you. So reading like the code of Phobos is actually pretty beneficial. So something with the lighting, by the way, right? So there's too much backlight. So there's also light like, you know, in front of me. So I'm not sure if I disable. Oh, it's too dark. It's too freaking dark. So let me take a look at myself. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Lighting is really weird right now, but there's nothing I can do about it. Disable the sun. Yeah, that's what I have to do. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not used to the light behind. Yeah. Okay, so everything seems to be kind of working. What's funny, by the way, is that if I try to overload this entire thing, it may not work. It may actually not work. Yeah. So it only works because we have a separate function for this thing. Which is, oh, and this is why they need all of these template checkers and stuff like that, so to distinguish between these two overloads. But since we don't overload them, we don't have to do that. We're more based. Look at that, we're more based. That's really cool. But I mean, at the same time, this is much better than C++ at this point. Right, so this kind of stuff in C++ would have been a nightmare. No, it failed because it didn't find append many. Ah, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. Okay, so let's actually give it a try then. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I suppose all of these checkers is to maybe provide a better error messages when you put something weird in there. Right, so because sometimes like the error message will show you like in here without explaining that you put something wrong in here. I think all of these like checkers, like const time predicates are literally for better error messaging. This is just my assumption. Decompile time has error messages based feature. Maybe? I'm not sure actually. Let's actually see. So here's the one of the compile time function that checks things. What it does, it calls for, yeah, it calls into is input range, and that's about it. It doesn't explicitly actually print anything at compile time, I think. Yeah, I don't know why they have so many checks at compile time for this kind of stuff. Kind of weird. But anyway, so we have this thing working, hopefully. What I was doing, by the way, does anybody remember what I was doing? So here's the Luna, main.d. Oh yeah, I was constructing the path, right? So I was just constructing the path. And another thing we can do, by the way, history path is append just 0. Let's just append 0. And this is going to be the null terminated string. Here we can do path to history. It's going to be as history path, and is it items? Oh, it's just a pointer. And let's also exit with 69 because I want to just like test it out. All right, so, and this is going to be shed, and there we go. So we can have a proper string concatenation by reusing dynamic arrays. Right, so proper string concatenation by reusing dynamic arrays without any garbage collector or anything like that. That's pretty cool. Okay, so yeah, now history dot this read the history range. Okay, so I'm gonna do this thing. Read history. History path ptr. So I suppose it may fail if history does not exist, but I feel like we shouldn't care. Let's just call it and ignore any errors. Just call it and ignore any errors. Furthermore, we can do something like scope exit. Right, scope exit. And I wonder if it will be called on this thing, if I just do the exit. This one is interesting actually, but anyway. What we can do is now write history. And we're also not gonna care about any errors from that. So let's put it like this and like this. So this is not what I want. I want to just rebuild the whole thing. Do we still print? We don't print it. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, I'm opening chat. It's segfaulted, by the way. Nice one. I don't know why it's segfaulted. So I'm gonna do ls. Then I'm gonna do cut build.d, and maybe I'm gonna modify this. It's not what I wanted actually, but anyway. So let's actually exit. And do we have in home shed history? Okay, can I cut shed history? Not bad. But I think it missed some of the things like LSL. I didn't see LSL in there. So we'll also put exit in there. So we can try to open shed one more time. Right, so this is a shed. And can I search in the history? Okay, it actually has all of that stuff. That's pretty cool. Doesn't have ls though. I don't know where ls went. Right. So then I'm gonna exit this entire thing, and then I'm gonna cut shed history, and there's still nothing in there. That's bizarre. Like, why it doesn't do the proper thing? Not quite sure. We can try. So I suspect, by the way, I suspect that if you do exit, all of the scope things are never going to be executed, right? Because it just probably calls to exit syscall, which asks the kernel to just kill the process without informing the process about that. It just like unloads the process from the memory, so the runtime has no opportunity to even execute any of that stuff. Off by one, I didn't see off by one in here. Like, where is off by one? So we just write the history. I don't know. I don't see off by one. But anyways, so by the way, here, ooh, it doesn't complain about fall through because probably in a D runtime, exit is marked as non-returning. So D even has a proper control flow analysis where you have non-returning functions, and it won't complain of you forgetting to put a break in here. Well, I mean, it's a decent language, right? So any serious language does this kind of control flow analysis, so that's kind of expected. So, yeah. But anyways, yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that it didn't properly save anything. This is D. Oh shit! People don't even like realize right away that I'm programming in D. I can actually say that I'm programming in C. Just add exit the cleanup. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe to do add exit, but add exit relies on libc runtime. So yeah, I suppose add exit adds a function to some sort of a global list, and the exit function from libc looks at that global list, iterates it, and just calls it. So basically exit from libc integrates with add exit. So it's not just like a direct call to Linux syscall. It's not a direct call to Linux syscall. It like has a little bit of a machinery to enable add exit, I suppose. That's very interesting, actually. Do I have Musel cloned anywhere? Because I want to see that. I want to see that for myself. Let's find a function name exit C. Why did you ask me to? Okay, so. All right. That's so fucking cool. Damn. Isn't it really freaking cool when you try to like confabulate how a particular function works, you go to the source code of function and you literally see what you just confabulated. So that is so fucking cool. I really like when that happens. So it's just like, yeah, that's literally what it does. So where is this thing implemented? And it's even defined at exit. And this entire function, what it does, it fucking iterates each individual function in that. It's a linked list of these goddamn fucking functions. Reading code of the libraries and utilities is fun. It is fun. And Musel is actually really like a huge pleasure to read, honestly. It's a huge pleasure to read. Yeah, that's literally how it works. It's not like a system feature or anything like that. It's a libc feature. At exit is a libc feature. So how GPT feels when it hallucinates correctly, yeah. So that's why GPT works, right? So you just, because some of the confabulations might be right. So, yeah. So it's just like you extrapolate some hypothesis and yeah, it seems to be right. Okay, so let's do something like this. So not really, yeah, well, we can actually put it at exit. Why not? We can put it at exit. At man. Oh, my man has broken. Thank you so much, Emacs. Very cool. Let's take a look at the at exit in here. So you just provide a function. Okay. Okay. So might as well. I just call this entire things in here. I don't know. Let's call it like something like cleanup. Cleanup. And we can, it probably has to be marked as extern C. And in here, we'll have to, yeah, this one is a little bit annoying. So that means this thing probably has to be global variable, right? So this is a history path. So we're constructing it like this. And then we have to do at exit, and this is going to be just a clean up. Right, I'm not going to care if it succeeded or not. Right, so let's put it like this. Let's fucking go. And that way, I really don't care. I really don't care if I exit it or not, or anything like that. So first of all, I read the history, and then I set up the cleanup, which basically writes the history back. Sounds reasonable, I think. Sounds reasonable. And I'm just calling it like generic cleanup because I expect maybe I'm gonna put more stuff in there, right? Maybe I'm gonna put more stuff in there. You never know. You never know. So history path. So this is a history name, history path. Right. Okay. So all of that looks pretty good to me. All of that looks pretty good to me. So build D at exit. I probably have to import something. So it's a stdlib. I do have stdlib. What does it say? A function is not callable with using argument void. Okay, so what do you expect? It's just a function void. Huh. Is that because I marked it as extern? Is that the reason, my friend? Maybe it doesn't have to be extern. I don't get it. So that's what it complains about, because this is just void function. Okay. Oh, here it is. No return. Ooh, that's so cool. In a no return function, you don't even have to specify the return type. No return is a type. It's kind of similar to the, you know, exclamation mark type in Rust. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? So here's the other thing. So Rust Rust mode, right, you have a fan function, and then it returns, it never returns, you return exclamation mark. The never type. Right, in D it's no return. And the control flow analysis takes that into account. It's actually kind of cool. Which one, never or unit? So there's several of them in Rust. Okay, so let's actually Google up Rust never type. Never type. So there's a, yeah. Is that part? Yeah, it seems to be part of this thing. So it's exclamation mark. I was talking about it. So there's another one. Okay, Rust unit type, and unit is more like a void. Oh wait, no, it's a different one. Listen. Like unit and never are different things. They are different things. I suppose unit just means that it doesn't return anything. It's a void, but never means the function itself never returns. Right. So the function itself never returns, which means, usually means, that whatever code you have after the no return function is unreachable. Right. So if function returns unit, this code is reachable, but it returns never, this code is unreachable, and control flow analysis will take that into account and maybe tell you that, bro, you have unreachable code. So this is actually a very important distinction. It's a very important distinction. It panics. I mean, the compiler, you mean? Anyway. So, what do we have in here? So there's a little bit of a kind of weird thing. I don't know why it doesn't want to just do that. Maybe I have to explicitly take a pointer to the function, right? Or the function returning never actually returns UB. I suppose UB. In Rust, I suspect if you try to create a function that never returns and it returns, you won't be able to compile that. But you may have such function as an external one, right, implemented in C, right? So you may have this kind of function in C and then mark it as no return in Rust. And if this function returns, that's very interesting. I suppose somebody says it panics, which is actually a very interesting thing to do. I suppose maybe Rust runtime is capable of detecting then an external no return function returned and basically crash the application. Why not? Or maybe it doesn't do that. I don't fucking know. It's kind of interesting, actually. Like, kind of interesting to actually test that. So, do I have a Rust compiler? Just a second. Rust C. Yeah, I do have a Rust compiler. Main.rs. So, let's have something like this. Print ln hello world. Right. So Rust C main rs. Alright, so there's something like this, hello world. So if I create a fan f which never returns, right, and I just basically say foo bar and return, I'm actually quite sure that this won't compile. Straight up. There we go. Right, because it expected never return, but found unit. And I feel like you are unable to construct such function. You should not be able to construct such type, right? So never probably doesn't have a value, right? Never probably doesn't have a value, but you should be able to maybe link with some C code. All right, so let's actually create main C, where we have such function, right? I'm going to include stdio, and this is going to be void, like this, and I'm going to just do printf. I'm going to just do printf, and I should be able to link them together. So let me try to maybe do C main C, right? Then I need to create an external function. Can I do something like that? Right. Let me try to do Rust C main rs. All right. So what does it say? Private definition for the function. Okay. So Rust CFFI. How do you do Rust CFFI? Rustonomicon. It has to be very scary, Rustonomicon. You don't know what you're doing. Smarter people than you already figured it out. Ooh. Fucking fear mongering. Like, Bro, like, can you just give me the freaking... Why is it in Russian? Can I... Bro. Just give me a fucking example and shut the fuck up. That's the only thing I ask. Okay, so, extern. Yeah, okay. So it has to be kind of an extern. All right. So, extern, and that's about... And you have to... if I understand correctly, you have to then call it with unsafe, right? So you won't be able to call it without an unsafe. Right, so let's try to compile this entire thing. What does it say? It's unsafe. All right, so unsafe. Let's fucking go. And it doesn't link. Okay, so that's fine. Linking with CC. Undefined reference. Cool. So, and where, so link, so you have to provide the library, right? You usually have to provide the library with the link and stuff. We can try to do that, but that also means that we have to create a library out of object. So this is going to be C, main C. All right. Oof, that created a lot. That reminds me of something. Did Rust compiler just vomited all files on a failure of linking? Did it just C3 me? So this is a common thing. So it's a... What the fuck? Wait, I did... Huh. Oh. Okay, that we actually discovering something new every freaking time. So, anyways, I created all file, but I won't be able to just say link that all file, right? So how do we do that? So it's going to be link, right? Because it wants the library, right? So it wants the library. So let's do Rust C, and what does it say? So it gave me the holy, this is the linker thing. So main, so it was looking for -l main, right? But we don't have that. Okay, so how do you create a library with R? So remember I used R for all sorts of things, specifically for CWS. Right, so this is a WebSocket library, and I used R. This is how you do that. So you call R with RCS, right? So RCS, and the way you do that, you provide the name of the archive and then all files. Okay, RCS libmain A, and just pack all file into that, and that's how you create a static library on Linux, right? So yeah, the way you do that, you have to have a C file, right? Then you compile it into object file, and then you pack it into the static library archive with the archiver. Freaking Linux, I swear to God. Anyways, so, and then we can try to compile this entire thing, and what does it say? It couldn't find because it didn't find the path, right? So it was not in correct path, I suppose. How can I add the link path? Maybe I can do something like this. So do you have L? Add a directory to the library search path. Okay, so maybe I can do something like this, and it worked. Okay, and it sucked up all of the O files for us, right? So, okay, that's pretty cool. If I try to call main now, well, I mean, it called to a C code. It called to a C code, so it segfaulted, apparently. That is fascinating, because it is probably an undefined behavior then. But I mean, you put unsafe in here, didn't you? So that means you are on your own. I would honestly, personally, would expect that the Rust runtime would try to detect that you returned from a no return function and crash, but it didn't. Guess that's why lipstick rate exists, probably. So I didn't. Yeah, I forgot about my tea. I'm sorry. And I already approaching 2 hours, so I don't think I'm gonna be actually getting my tea. Safe language. Well, I mean, they have an excuse. You can't catch restrictions on that. You put unsafe. You can't do this kind of stuff if you didn't put unsafe in here. You interacting with the external code, it's unsafe by definition. But it's kind of interesting, right? So essentially, the control flow analysis realized that you never return from this function, and maybe it didn't generate a proper epilogue for the main function, because you never return out of this function. What's the point of generating proper epilogue? I feel like that's exactly what happened. And since it doesn't have a proper epilogue, it just, did nothing. Unreachable macro do its return type, and it does the check at runtime. Yeah, interesting. I don't know what exactly happened here. Won't let you blame Rust. Exactly. Every time there is a situation when you can try to blame Rust, they will instantly demand to put unsafe. Rust is safe, but in a situation when it's not, you put unsafe, so it's all on you. It's all about shifting the blame. It's always shifting the blame out of the Rust. No, it's you at fault. No. That's basically Rust, so. A lawyer language here, exactly. Okay, so let's go back. But that was an interesting experiment. That was actually a kind of cool question, right? So if you try to return out of the function that you marked as no return, what's going to happen? I guess it's undefined behavior, all right, if you manage to do that. But the only way to call such function is to put unsafe. So it's all on you. Dummy, I should have not put unsafe. Rust wins again. So let's finish where we started. Okay. I guess we already did finish what we studied, right? So because I implemented everything that needs to be implemented. So let's do build D. And exit is not... yeah, we haven't finished. Right? So the question, how the fuck do I get a pointer to the function in here? So, well, let's maybe see documentation. There should be some sort of way. Function pointer, pointers, function, live function types. So function types, okay, so there is a difference between function and delegate, right? So function type has type, function types are not included in the type grammar, a function type, blah, 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 blah. So function, delegate. Function pointers. All right, the function pointer is declared with a function key word. Okay, so you have that. So you take a pointer. All right, but that's exactly what I do, don't I? So what was the stdlib? Yeah, at exit. Yeah, so this is a void function. Okay. And this is a cleanup. Okay. And then I just do it like that. So what's the problem in here, officer? What's the problem? I don't get it. Function is not callable using argument void function, but it literally is. Cannot pass argument cleanup of the type to parameter extern. So it wants to have an extern. So extern C. Okay. Let's fucking go. All right. So that means I should be able to do all of this. So shed. Can I do vim? Okay. So let's put a couple of LSs in here. Then maybe do build. This is not a build D. Yeah. And then exit. And let's cut shed history. Here all they are. So I can restart the shed and I can do this shed again. Okay. So and then LSL. All right. So all of my history is in here. So And then I can do cut one more time and guess. So even the failed attempts are also there. Okay. It's like it's a third of the implementation of Bash, but as a library. So so that's pretty cool, I gotta tell you. That's pretty cool. All right. So maybe we don't even need this function anymore, I'm pretty sure. Right, so because this is a debug function. Yeah, that's about it. That's about it. So let's do a committee and maybe even potentially a pusher. So we don't need that stuff in here. Integrate with Readline. Readline, not Readline. Well, I mean, red is a past of read, so there we go. Wait, guys, has anyone thought that maybe the official pronunciation of readline is actually redline because it's actually past? You can't distinguish like a present and past version of read. What if it's a red line and it says like it was a pun all along? Holy fucking shit. Has anyone thought about that? Has anyone actually thought about it? Maybe it's a red line, not read line. So this means the shed is GPL. I'm not a lawyer. Well, I mean, what kind of GPL is it? Right, so is it LGPL or what? Read line. So license. It's not even LGPL. Maybe the GPL 3 is probably the most anal version of GPL. It's probably a GPL, but I mean it's a test project anyway, so I don't really care about it too much, honestly. I don't really care about it too much. Breedline, haha, very funny, very funny, very fun. So yeah. Apparently it's actually pretty easy to integrate a readline. So the next time you need a readline functionality, you can use it. Just use the function and just call the readline function. It does everything. Literally does everything. It's kind of cool, isn't it? It's actually kind of cool. BSD has a similar function. Like, honestly, I don't know. Right, so I think Desu used said that there is like a BSD readline. BSD readline. Oh, okay. Let's take a look at it. Get a line from a user with editing. Okay. Can I use that on Linux, by the way? HTTPS query. RS readline. Is there any minimal Ooh. Do you guys know about edit line? HTTPS query. So let's do edit line. Minix. Damn. This is a line editing library for Unix. It can be linked into almost any program to provide command line editing in history. It is called compatible with FSF readline library, but is fraction of the size and offer fewer features. Repository. Okay, so what's the license? I didn't see the license. License. I think this is MIT style like license. Where's the usual license? License is somewhere here, but okay, so it can't detect the license, but this looks like MIT or whatever. What is this license? It's a BSD license. Speaking of BSD, right? So this is a BSD. Probably, we don't know. Maybe it's configurated that shit, but it looks like BSD, honestly. Original for close BSD license. It is in fact for close. So yeah. So for Desu used, there you go. Here is your BSD thingy. We can give it a try, because why not? By the way. So let me see. I'm gonna put it in here. 4 entire clauses. Yeah, I know, right? So this is all of that bullshit. Oh boy, oh boy. Main D. Git clone. How many commits does it have? I don't see it. 3. Okay, so not that many commits. So we're not gonna do like a shallow clone. All right. So how do you build? Probably have to do autogen to generate the config file, and it failed with some bullshit. So what's the errors? libtool library, libtool is undefined. Do I have to install libtool? Libtool. So probably have to do, yeah, let's install libtool thingy. Okay. xbps query. Oh, I mean install. Install. Let's just install libtool. I wonder if that's going to be sufficient. There's also Haskell line. Interesting. Any errors? Any errors? Okay, so that's cool. So here's the configure. Configure help. What do we have? Some prefixes and shit. By the way, so in OPT, I remember I had the readline installed. I actually moved out of it. So let's do. Thank you so much, Mitch Paus. I hope I'm pronouncing them correctly. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So prefix home OPT edit line. Let's go. Well, I mean, it's still a lot of different scheiße. Oh. Okay, so that was quick. What about installing? Oh. All right. Add hist. Okay. I like how, okay. Here's the only 4 functions we actually use. Holy shit. Like, you don't need anything else, honestly. Like, this is literally all of the 4 functions that we used in a single place. Nothing else, no less, no more. No less, no more. That's based, honestly. That's based. In terms of lib, here it is. So, all right. And I wonder if I... Does it depend on n curses, right? So we also kind of... Okay, so description is small. Bro! If this shit works out, this deserves a star. Holy fuck. I'm glad that I tried to actually like check for the alternatives. This is fucking cool. Wait a freaking second. It's also static probably. Right, so look at the size of these things. 152 kilobytes. It probably means that you can just like, you know, statically link with this entire thing and it's going to work. Wait a freaking second. This is based. Based. Just a second. Based. All right. So what if I do this and I link with this thing? It probably won't work right away. So I'm gonna just do build.d, and yeah, it can't find it, which is fine. So let's do l equal l dot, right? So search in the current directory. Fuck off! Are you freaking serious, Brovsky? Brovsky. Fucking works. Oh my god. Search is kind of fucked on this. Search is kind of lame. It's not incremental search. You literally have to do, which is not that bad, honestly, right? So it's kind of an interesting alternative, right? It feels different. It's a different search, but it works. And the final thing, I think, doesn't depend. Yeah, it only depends. This is based, honestly. I'm okay with tolerating a little bit shadier search for a smaller, less bloated executable. Bro, well fucking deserved. Well fucking deserved. There you go. So give it a star. This is based. Absolutely fucking based. Thank you so much. That's fucking cool. That is fucking cool. And I didn't even have to modify my code. Like, I literally just linked with a different library. I just freaking linked it. Like, it's available, like it's compatible on the level of a source code. Damn! That's so fucking based. Like that. Freaking like that. So, drop-in replacement. Yeah, it's a drop-in replacement. That is very cool. That is very based. Alright. So, I guess that's it for today. This was a pretty cool session. This was a pretty based exploration. Can you just pass in lib or A to the compiler? That's a good question, honestly. Let's give it a try. Maybe I don't have to do any of this shit. So maybe it just recognizes all of these things. Yeah. So maybe I can just do something like that. Let's go. Oh, okay. All right, so that's kind of cool. Even more based, exactly. Even more based. I wonder, is it like really cross-platform? It uses, yeah, it's all only for Unixes. Yeah, it's only for Unixes. I'm thinking, how can I vendor this entire thing? Is it easy to vendor it? Right, because I can just pre-build it for different operating systems, I think. So there's also releases. Do they release? They don't release binaries, right? So they just release. Is it source code or is it binaries? Let's see. Yeah, this is source code. Yeah. It's not compatible with the GNU Readline though. Yeah, the behavior is also slightly different. Oh, you mean, okay, let me take a look at this. Best line. Okay. Oh, this one is easier to, wait a second. Okay. So we're doing the read line replacement reviews. That's what we're doing. So actually we need to do this one. Best line. So apparently it is a trend to make replacement for read line. Okay, so it's just like O file, right? What is multi though? Let me take a look at the make file. What's the best line example, best line multi? Multi. I suppose I just need O file, like best line O. Alright. So dot, move this thing in here, and best line O. Ah, fuck. It's not a drop-in replacement though. Or maybe let's try to take all of the O files that we have in here. Right, so there was also multi. Alright, let's put it in here as well. Multi. Not a drop-in. Okay, so as already said, it's not compatible with GNU Line. I'm sorry, my attention is kind of already dispersed too much because I'm a little bit tired. But that would be cool if it was just like a one object file and it was like backward compatible with readline. Because readline API is actually nothing. It's like 4 functions that are like that matter. It's readline itself. What was that? Add to history, read history, and write history. That's it. It's not that difficult to even add support for that. So it's all right. We can try to do that. Why not? Sounds interesting. So yeah, that was a cool session. I really enjoyed it. So we even had a decent amount of people for such time. I'm really glad to see that. So thanks everyone who's watching me right now. Really appreciate it. Have a good one. And I see you all on the next recreation programming session with Mr. Azozin. I love you all.